Hello, this is Coastal News, an unofficial home and away podcast where we dissect the latest week's episodes and discuss our happenings and residents of our favourite fictional town, Summer Bay. Well, we've still got Dean in hospital this week, haven't we, where he's now ditched the hospital gown and is strategically topless in every scene, lay on the bed. The aircon mustn't be working in his room, it must be really warm. And he's got various visitors coming in and out, the main one being Ziggy, who has come to the hospital. Is she, at this stage anyway, I was thinking, is she just running straight to Dean's arms? Now Tane issue is somewhat solved. I mean, it wasn't looking great. They seem to be split up at that stage. Tane's moved back home, and Ziggy is now at the hospital by Dean's bedside, and it doesn't take long for him to realise that she's hiding something. She tells him eventually, and then there is this hospital room kiss, which, in true home and away style, Tane happens to walk past and see. And I've said this a few times, but I still feel really, really bad for Tane. He's really going through the mill with this, and I'm not sure whether he deserves this treatment. Well, I know he doesn't. I think he deserves better. And as I said previously, if he wasn't such a plonker, if he was still a plonker like his old days, womanising and all that business, we wouldn't really care so much. But the fact that he changed for Ziggy and, he really felt for her, means that, really, really upset for him, and he, a bit worried now, actually, as well. Upset for him, but also now worried because he looks like he's packed a bag and gone out. There was that scene back at the Parata household, and Harry says, "Where you going?" And he's throwing like overnight clothes in a backpack or whatever. And he says, "I don't know where I'm going to end up." So he's gone out on the rash, and God knows who he's going to meet. He's just getting out of his system. He's probably just thinking, "I should have stayed as I was, take back my life." But I think now we've seen that other side to Tane. Don't want to lose it. Come on, Tane, you're a nice boy, aren't you? Stay with us. And Dean's pretty much said, it's not. I would have Ziggy back in a heartbeat. So it's down to Ziggy, and it looks like they're now back on. So I know a lot of people will be happy out there, but I did like Ziggy and Tane, I'm not going to lie. Mac's also been at the hospital a lot, and her and Dean back to being lovely siblings again, like they once were, not at each other's throats, which I like to say. I think they're nice scenes. And Mac's not the only place she's been going as a hospital this week. She's also been doing this whole flirty thing with Logan, new doctor, speedboat extraordinaire. He's a bit of a dish, isn't he? And he's rustling some feathers, but Max caught his eye, and I think she's caught his as well. So yeah, I think we need to watch this space. They're definitely going to be tearing each other's clothes off next week. I just know it. And a bit confused about it. Do I want it to happen or not? Mac's clearly not going back there with Tane again because she put a stop to the whole kiss with him last week. So is the new power couple going to be Mac and Logan? I can't see Mac with the doctor, if I'm being honest. Is she a bit too needy? He's going to be rushing to the hospital all the time. I'm assuming he stays around, that is, and it's not just a fling. But I've got a hunch Logan's going to be sticking around a bit. So it'd be interesting to see how that develops. Watch this space. We've got Logan also sort of Rustling Feathers over at the Morgan household happens to know Christian. Again, another big soap coincidence. Knows Christian from a past life and is invited to a barbecue, which Tori is under the impression it's just a romantic afternoon together, her and Christian, but gets home and sees Logan there, and then it all gets a bit heated. There's a bit of a disagreement about how the emergency was handled. Tori's the head of ED, and I just think Tori just needs to chill out a bit. At the end of the day, Logan got the right outcome. Dean's still here, he's alive and kicking. So I think Tori needs to cut him some slack a bit. I don't know what you think. Yes, it is her department and it undermined her, and she probably felt a bit out of joint at that point. This, I'm afraid, might be leading up to Tori being pushed aside at the hospital. And you just think, is he the sort of, is he now going to get a job at Northern Districts and put Tori's nose out of joint further? I can see that's where this is going to unfold and go. But it'll be interesting if that is the case, because this hot young new doc's here doing it in really radical and different ways to how Tories ran the place, that they're going to be butting heads a lot more than what we've seen so far. And I thought when Tori, succumbed and agreed to let him stay for lunch with him, I thought, she's being the adult, being the bigger person. But it soon descends into chaos and ends up with Logan leaving. So, yeah, I think we've not seen the last of this. I think this is the start of Tori being pushed out of the hospital, and maybe it's her time to leave the bay. It's been a while. She's been around a while now. Brody's gone. Mason's died. We've still got Justin knocking about, but yeah, maybe it's time for Tori to move on. And we've got Bella coping much better now after the split with Nick. However, she has spent quite a lot of time at the hospital, and there was that moment where Tane's there in a bad mood because of everything that he's having to put up with and go through at the moment, and just lashes out at her. But to be fair to her, she's been there throughout for Nick at his bedside, and he wakes up finally. It doesn't seem to go too well with her and Nick at that point, but there's this other moment in the week where she's agreed to help Martha with her charity event, helping raise awareness of mental health issues after Kieran's now been shipped off to Marimbula. Is that the last we've seen of him, by the way? Bit odd that he's now gone, But anyway, So Martha's now doing this thing. Bella's sort of hooked up with contacts in the city, and then obviously that she seems to be coping well until obviously, like I say, Nick wakes up and she doesn't really get the reception she wants. She's sort of poured her heart out and said, maybe I was too harsh on you. It's taken me nearly losing you to realise that I can forgive you for what's happened. Da, 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 da. And Nick's, I don't think Nick. I think he'll come round with Bella. I hope he does anyway. But I think actually he's probably got bigger things on his mind. He's woken up. He's found out that if potentially because of his actions of running away, he could be responsible for the loss of Mia and Ari's baby. He'll definitely blame himself because none of them would have been in the car if they weren't looking for him, right? So I feel like he's just a bit preoccupied with that, and it's not necessarily about Bella, but I'm sure she'll make it about herself, but hopefully he gets out of hospital. We'll see. I'm sure we're going to see his recovery, and hopefully he comes round and they can both patch things up, because that'd be nice to see, wouldn't it? And end of the week, we've finally got this weird break-in at the garage. John's bought the garage. Is it John? Because there was this whole thing about the landlord selling the garage under Justin's feet, and John finally bought it with his money that he got back from Susie. And everybody seemed happy with that plan eventually. But then Justin got that call, didn't he, up to the garage to find out what's going on. The alarm was going off, the door was open, he's gone inside, very dramatic incidental music. Somebody bad inside the garage. Who could it be? Is it going to be something really trivial and we're just being left to think it's something else? Or I'm trying to think who would break into the garage. Why would John need to break in if it is him? Like, what would he gain from that? I can't see that being the case. Who's in the garage? Who is in there? That's this weekend's question, and we'll find out Monday. But yeah, definitely need to find out what's going on with that. That came a bit left field and a bit random. But yeah, obviously cliffhanger. Find out on Monday who's in the garage. But yeah, other than that, it was a pretty drama-free week, really. I think the fallout from the big crash a couple of weeks before, it sort of mellowed the show right down, and we're now just sort of plodding along with the fallout from that and people in hospital. So this break-in at the garage is potentially going to propel us into next week and sort of push the storyline on a bit faster for us, because it did seem to go a bit slow this week. But yeah, I think Justin and Liam have been through enough. They don't need more hassle at the garage. So bit odd, bit random, but I'm willing to just watch and see what happens, how it unfolds. That's everything for me at the moment. We'll continue to tweet along with the episodes as they air during the week. Join me on Twitter at Coastal News Pod, and also on Instagram at Coastal News Pod. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.